all good, guys?
Yeah.
Well, Alex, how do you assess Aberdeen's chances going into this semi-final?
Well, they've had a wee bit of resurgence. You know, they had the blip after the sensational start to the season, and their run of games, not only undefeated, but I think they won like every one. You know, so Jimmy Thielen has done a good job to get them back to, you know, that kind of level again, and hopefully he'll see them through to the final.
Do you think it's been damaging the kind of season Aberdeen have had because it was so good and then it was almost so bad that they're actually somewhere in the middle, and maybe the hype was too great at the start and then the criticism was a bit too strong as well after that?
It always is, isn't it? You know, but I mean, it was difficult to everybody scratching their head, going, "A minute, what's happened?" You know, from going to winning every game, and then to can't win any game at all was, you know, quite difficult to analyse, and I'm sure the manager was scratching his head as well. But I guess possibly the speed that they were playing at then took its toll on their legs and maybe energy levels. I don't know. You know, so I'm not about to talk about what Jimmy should have done or not. I think he's done a great job.
35 years since Aberdeen last won the Scottish Cup. You were obviously involved in that. Is that too long for a club of that size?
Yeah, when I came to Aberdeen, when I went to Aberdeen as a 17-year-old, I think it was kind of similar with the last trophy they won before we got there, and then we all of a sudden through the 80s, you know, very successful, and yeah, you would have thought they would have had one or two trophies in between, but very difficult, you know, with the rise of Rangers and Celtic, and you know, coming back to dominate the Scottish League again, and you know, c'est la vie, isn't it? That's hard to see, you know, how you can usurp those two. So.
What did you make of it yesterday? Bit of a Titanic tussle, wasn't it?
Well, actually, I never saw it, but no, I've not even seen the goals yet. But I saw I was at a cup final in England, and watching my old team Birmingham getting beat, and yet, you know, then seeing the Rangers and I'm looking 1-0, 2-0 Aberdeen, you know, and Rangers coming back again, but it seems to be the story of their life in the domestic.
What do you make of Rangers' chances on Thursday?
Well, let's not be a cauldron. We know that they were smarting. I think they've been criticised by the Spanish press, you know, for their they say it wasn't a great performance, but Rangers nullified their strengths, and they have to go and do that in Bilbao. But I think it'll be all guns blazing, Atletico.
You also had Barry as your captain. Did you see the qualities in him to go and be Rangers manager?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think any manager, if you know the level that Barry played at, and certainly if you get the right players, if you get the right deck of cards, you've got a good chance. You know, Arsene Wenger, I visited him back in the day, and I said to him, Arsene, what makes you a great manager? And he looked that way, and he says, great players. I thought, right, okay. I'll remember that one, but so I need to get to a club that can help me get great players to buy them. And you know, Barry's transformed the guys a little bit from a level that they clearly wasn't at Rangers level. And in the European competition, it's been incredible. You know, beating Jose Mourinho and putting one on him, that was exceptional. And now doing what the team did last week, it just shows what they have in their lockers, but they've not quite been doing that domestically.
Despite the domestic results and what's been happening throughout the season, will there be that real belief from the Rangers team, just given their European performances and the way they've showed up, that they can go out there and make a semi-final?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I don't know if maybe it seems like a relief for some of the players when they go into Europe and they seem to express themselves a bit more than they have done in the domestic league. But I guess when you look at the European games, they're wide open. Both teams. Mourinho's team was wide open. Rangers were attacking, and so there was spaces for the opposition. Although Barry got them working extremely hard. Their recoveries, getting back when losing possession has been really good, and a big feature of his good work.
That relief that you talk about, is that based on expectations really, that in domestic games they're just expected to go out and beat teams, whereas in Europe they can maybe relax a bit because they are the underdogs a lot of the time?
Yeah, I think there's an element of that as well. There's definitely psychology involved in it. The thing is, you've got to win everything. If you're a Rangers player, you've got to win domestically every week. That's the demands. And Barry knows that. He knows that as being an outstanding footballer his whole career with Rangers, and then working at Birmingham for a wee while. And he wants those standards. And it must be another tearing the hair out. That's been a feature in my speech today. Tearing the hair out when you see them kind of failing domestically.
Even if he isn't the person to take Rangers forward beyond the summer, do you think the job that he and Neil McCann and Billy Dodds are doing in terms of trying to instill that Rangers DNA that they talk about and standards can really help the team in the long run, even if it is just the short period they have with these players?
Yeah, I really do. I think that they've already improved that. Just getting it, playing for Rangers. There was players came before, or Brazilian players that just couldn't get it either, and the demands of the Rangers fans, the demands of a club that has to win every week, as Walter Smith pointed out to me many years ago. In fact, my first week, and I says, "Any tips, Walter?" And he says, "Just win." But there was an expletive in there. So I says, "Right, okay." And as I said, they're amongst a few teams who have to win every week. The demand of their fans and the demand of their history.
Good man.
Good.
I'll leave it there.
Thanks,
very much.
guys.
Appreciate it.